talk. Real talk.
Welcome back to Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk.
We're building when the girls are talking, Moorish talking, real talk. Real talk. We're building when our Moors are talking, Moorish talk, real talk. Real talk. We're building when the girls are talking, Moorish talking, real talk. Real talk. We're building when our Moors are talking, Moorish talk, real talk. Real talk. Hell, I want us to talk about it. At least that we can shout about it. We're building our foundation upon truth. I'm thankful now to think about it. Communicate and speak about it. The gospel of salvation is good news. We're building when the girls are talking, Moorish talking, real talk. Real talk. We're building when our Moors are talking, Moorish talk, real talk. Real talk. We're building when the girls are talking, Moorish talking, real talk. Real talk. We're building when our Moors are talking, Moorish talk, real talk. Real talk. We're building when the girls are talking, Moorish talking,
Real Talk, Moorish Talk. In 2 weeks on Monday at 7 p.m.
We thank you all for being a part of this show and experience with us, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Peace.
Peace.
Islam. First, I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe. I give honor to His holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to the forerunner to the prophet, Brother Marcus Garvey. I give honor to all true and divine prophets of Allah, Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, etc. I give honor to the past leaders of the Moorish Symbol of America, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, Brother F. Nelson Bey, and Brother J. Blakely Bey. I give honor to Brother R. Love Ill, and I give honor to our present Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother R. Jones Bey, and to his assistant, Brother A. Hopkins Bey. I give honor to everything that the Prophet brought for the uplifting of fallen humanity. I give honor to our viewers, to our media team, and to my sisters on the panel. And I give special honors to my mother on today, the day that she was born. I'm Sister Ingrid Ill, Temple 71, Washington, D.C. Peace.
Islam. My name is Sister T. Britt Bay from Washington, D.C. Excuse me. First I rise, giving praises to our Father God Allah, honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to all that the sister gave honors to. I give honors where honors due. I give honors to each and every one of you. My name again is Sister T. Britt Bay from Washington, D.C., Temple number 71. Peace.
Islam. First, I rise and give praise to Allah, honor to our holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honors to past and present leadership of the Moorish Symbol of America, and honors to each and every one of you. My name is Sister T. Hopkins Bey out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Temple number 11,
Islam. I give praise to the great God, our Father God Allah. I give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to everything that my sisters before me has given honors to. And I give honor to you all the viewers for about to be in starting our new season. What season is this, sisters? Season 10 of Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. And I give special honors to the social media team who are ensuring that this actually happens, and to my sisters here. My name is Sister A. Raven Obey from Temple number 21 in Brooklyn, New York. All right, sisters.
I failed to mention the topic of our show this evening. And first, let me welcome you all back to Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. Tonight's topic is the excitement in seeing the bud. All right.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's start with what does it mean, the excitement of seeing the bud? What does that even mean? What are we talking about here?
Okay, so I'm quite sure a lot of you remember. Let me take it back to when we were kids, and when I was in elementary, one of my teachers gave all the students a bag of dirt, soil, a bag of seeds, and a pot, and we were all to plant these seeds. And one day, the thought just came to mind, and I remember how every day we came to class because she set everybody's pot in a specific area in the classroom with our names on it. And I remember every morning we came to class. Oh my God, the excitement that was on our face of what we were about to see in our pots. And of course, it took a while before we saw the first bud. So of course, we come into class and we watering and we doing everything. We actually taking care of this thing because we wanted to grow. We wanted to be pretty. We can't wait to see that green bud. And I remember the joy on my face when I saw that first piece of green peek above that dirt, that soil. So that's what the excitement of the bud to me is. And it makes me think about the excitement that we have in seeing certain characteristics, seeing our attributes bloom in our lives. And what came to mind, I just want to share one instruction on page 20, chapter 12, instruction 6, where it says, toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you? And that's that joy that I'm talking about. When we see our attributes bloom, and I know for me, I'm excited to see certain things change, certain things grow. I'm excited to see certain things grow in my children. I'm excited to see them develop. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, because from the day-to-day cares, we tend to lose that excitement and get caught up in the toiling. So that's what I want to talk about. That's where that came from. Let's get back to the excitement. Peace.
Peace, Islam. So praise Allah for listening to Sister Britt Bay describe that, the excitement of seeing, the little bud start to sprout up and things like that. It just gave me a thought about when you are giving energy into stuff that you're trying to get to grow, and say, for instance, it's yourself. And so we can look at it from two different perspectives. From a mundane perspective, we plant some seeds and we see if they grow and stuff like that. But if they don't, we have to look at what we did wrong, what we didn't do that we're normally used to doing, and how we need to fix it, because we want whatever flower or vegetable or fruit to grow. So that's the same thing, looking at it on a spiritual level. We have to look at it from the perspective, okay, why do I keep repeating this test? Or why do I keep going through this specific situation? Maybe I need to look at it different. Maybe I need to work on it differently. And I think the Moorish Science Temple of America plays a major part in that, because when you are consistently studying yourself, ask again, I will tell you, I will reply, study yourselves over and over again. I think there may be times where you get a different answer from Allah of how you need to move forward. And I think that's important, because you may not be able to, you may think that you have conquered some things, but yet we all know how sometimes we keep hitting our head at times because we ain't learned that lesson yet. And we haven't learned that lesson yet because maybe we kept doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And we have to figure out how we have to change that to get the best result from Allah. Praise Allah. No, please. Sorry.
It's yeah, when you brought this topic up as a conversation, I immediately thought of that when you said that excitement when you see that bud. It made me think about sometimes you doing the work and you don't see the results. I mean, it could be as small as, it's easy to use, as a woman. It's like you're trying to work on your weight or you're trying to work on your appearance. Like I'm drinking lots of water because I want to do this, or I'm walking more steps and you're not seeing the work. And for me, when you brought up, it reminded me of the patience and diligence you must have. And when you were talking, sister, it also made me think about the openness because sometimes you're going on the path and maybe you are putting in the work, but maybe you need to do something else, instead of drinking 3 cups of water, you need to really drink 4. And that really is the game changer. And part of knowing thyself and studying thyself, I'll say, is doing what it is that you need to do and being unafraid to continue to work on it and knowing and being patient, but also being open to hearing what Allah might guide you and staying attuned to his spirit because he is going to continue to guide you. And sometimes you think it's going to be one way and it actually is not going to be that way. So be open to it. And sometimes, at least for me, I get so focused on, okay, this is the plan. This, if I do these 4 things, I'm going to do it. And I don't even hear the 5th one because I'm so focused on the 4 that I need to do. So, but there is excitement when you start to see that little bit of it. And that's a beautiful moment when you get to see that.
We also got to keep in mind seasons because the season has to be right for that bloom. Right. And a lot of times when we're waiting or we're expecting to see a certain bloom, it might not be the season.
Right.
It might not be, it just might not be the time. So we experience that as well.
That's true. Your plan doesn't mean it's Allah's plan.
Exactly.
Your time don't mean it's his time.
That's right.
We need to get on his time, not your time.
That's right, sis.
When you said, when you said that we keep doing, when someone keeps doing the same thing and looking for different results, that's because, we using the wrong ingredients. We're using the wrong ingredients to accomplish what it is we're trying to accomplish. And seeing the bud could be in a multitude of things in your attendance at work, your health, the way you think, how you talk to people, how you talk to yourself. When you notice that these things are changing, are rising, becoming better, and you're not doing them anymore, you're not thinking about them anymore, you're not speaking the way you once used to speak, you'd be like, oh, praise Allah. That's the excitement for me when I see that bud, that something's changing, something's blooming, something's happening, And when I find myself going through the same thing, I say, okay, I've used the wrong ingredients, I took the wrong steps. Let me go back because I am clear that it begins and starts with me,
Right.
It begins and starts with me, how I see it, how I received it, what part did I play for it to even take place, right? So praise Allah, peace.
So when you were just saying that too, made me think the prophet said reflection is the business of man. So even when things are starting to go well, it's important for you to take a moment to reflect about what is it so that you know what to do more of or less of. We had this at work. It's like they were like, "Oh, we did it. All right, we're gonna move on next." I'm like, wait. You got to find out what you did because you're going to be upset when you're trying to do all these other ways to get to that result, and you don't even know what you did to get here. So it's almost like an accident. And sometimes you need to sit back and say, "Okay, well, what did I do? What were the things that I did?" Because that means there might be the things you need to continue to do. Because once you see good, you want it to grow. So you can't give attention and love and water, and then all of a sudden say, "Okay, I saw it. I don't need to water it every day." Wait, what? Like I don't need to talk to it every day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And what do you?
Yes.
Definitely have to nurture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that goes right back into self. It's nurturing yourself, taking care of you. Realizing what you need to grow. I think, when we think about that aspect of the bud, is what does it need and what does it take to grow? And there's multiple layers to it. It's not, just water. It's not just sunlight. I heard a lot of people talk to their plants. You know what I mean? And praise Allah, it's deep. But when you are thinking on a spiritual level, who will we talk to? The best person for you to talk to will be Allah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings us to the Sister Grill. She answered. Did she answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that brings us to, I think, a perfect time for why is the soil so important when it comes to the growth and the development?
That's your foundation.
Yeah. Right.
I was like, it's your foundation. What do you? It feeds you. It feeds the growth. And take it to a spiritual level. If you can't, how can you ascend if you're not looking or reading the instructions and trying to apply them? How it's like you can't just get up there by thinking that you're going to get up there. I can't think that I'm gonna build muscles with just by waking up. No, I got to go in and do the work. So what is it? What are you feeding your spiritual growth and nurturing? That to me is the soil. You got to make sure it's not too dry, not too wet. Make sure the water flows. Make sure you put some nutrients in there, the vitamins in there. You got to do all of that. You got to tend to your soil. So, we're talking about ourselves. That is a part of knowing yourself. You got to know what is it that you need to tend to your growth and development spiritually, physically, mentally. And sometimes you got to play around with it to figure out what works for you because you are learning yourself and you don't know what that is.
Absolutely. I think also, knowing what your, for lack of better terms, what your surroundings are. So knowing like some things some things can't grow in certain climates or certain dirt or certain. So as us being spirits and a part of Allah, you can't be trying to live a holy and divine life and you at the bar and the club. That's not going to mix. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to know what path that you're on and what you have to do for you to get to that. I think that for me personally, I had to change people, places, and things because there were some groups that I was not going to spiritually grow if I was still around and with them. That wasn't conducive to my growth. Doing certain things was not going to be conducive to my growth. It was not going to help me. It was not going to benefit me. So with that, I had to move around. I had to change, if you will, my thoughts about certain things and how I felt about doing certain things and being around certain people and places. And I think that once you realize that the change has to occur within you, it's easier for you to move out of that. And it might not be like super fast. You may have to gradually move away from doing certain things, or because all of us were not born in the Moorish Temple of America. A lot of us joined in our adulthood. And so when you've been thinking and doing things a certain way for a certain amount of years, it has become second nature to you. But you have to realize that that wasn't your holy and divine nature from the get-go. You were just going along to get along. So you have to reevaluate all those different things that you were doing and figure out how to make it right, if you will. So praise Allah. It's a beautiful conversation.
I also believe that when it comes to the soil has to be prepared to promote the growth. And that's through the attention that we give that soil. Right. If that, it's important to know what's in the soil. It took me to chapter 1 where it says, now seeds are perfect, yea, as perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. Back to what Sister Hopkins Bay was talking about. It's important that the environment, the environment that we're in, if that soil goes neglected, guess what happens? And see, when I speak about the soil, I'm thinking in terms of when I'm outside in my yard and I'm gardening. And I know I look at the soil and I see all kinds of things. I see rocks. I see all kinds of things, but I also know in the process of me planting my specific seeds in my soil, because sometimes I have to add, because my soil might not be good soil because it got all the rocks and all that in it. So I know that whatever it is I'm trying to grow, it's not going to do well in this rocky soil. And it's the same in my own life. John the Baptist came and he showed us how we had to what? We had to clean up. We had to purify ourselves. So I have to add a whole another bag of soil to that soil in order for whatever it is I'm trying to grow to survive and bloom. And so I also know that even in the midst of me planting, I know what I'm planting, but the moment I walk away, I don't know what other seeds may drop into my soil until it what? Until it blooms. So that's why I say the attention that we give to the source of our seeds, or the soil, as you may say, the attention that we give is very important, because we need to know what's in there. We need to know what's growing. If we don't tend to it, if we neglect the soil and we don't nurture it, water it, check it, do all the things that we need to do, then guess what's going to happen? Useless weed seeds will grow. And that's what happens in our life. Those not attributes, but those characteristics that flare up. And you'd be like, well, where did that come from? And that comes from neglect of me working on myself. So the soil is definitely important because it's the source, and oh yeah, so yeah, that's it. So yeah, we want to give that soil some attention. And I know that we get tied up. Sometimes we neglect ourselves. Sometimes we're not as attentive to our children as we should be. It could be anything that you're trying to grow. It could be a career. It could be anything. And the moment that we start lacking and lacking in the attention that we give it, its bloom is withered. It start withering.
Islam says, when you just said that, I mean, the two instructions that popped up, one was, you just said children. In Holy Instructions for Thy Children, it says in instruction 7, the soil is thine own. Let it not want cultivation. You cannot neglect it. It is yours. You got to feed it. The seed which thou sowest, that also shall thou reap. And then he talks about what you need to teach that soil so that it can grow, so that it doesn't get all confused. And then the second one in Breath of Heaven, it says in here in our Holy Instructions number 2, it says the ground must be prepared before corn be planted. The potter must build his furnace before he can make his porcelain. Mm-hmm. You got to prepare that ground. You got to be attentive to that soil, in order to do it. And when you were talking about people and places, I was thinking, well, we know what that is. You go to temple because that's pure soil. You need to put it in your soul, mix it up in there, and get whatever the knowledge that is Allah's trying to give to you so that you can use that to continue to grow. You got to go where there's more good soil so that your soil doesn't get drowned up or withered or contaminated. Sure. Peace.
Islam, would you tell us about a time when you knew you discovered, excuse me, will you tell us about a time when you knew that you discovered, I am so sorry. Would you tell us about a time when you knew you discovered the bud and it brought you excitement?
Mm.
Oh, I can kick it off because
Mhm.
I never will forget. And that time for me was when I decided to sincerely change my life. I tried many times. But when I finally truly made that step, um, and I didn't even know if I was going to be successful at it. And certain things had taken place to let me know that I was here. I was sincere about this. Um, and I just remember the things that I had to do in order to not do what I was doing yesterday. And I remember the excitement every time I made it through a day. The excitement I got past an hour. The excitement
Mhm.
when I made it through a holiday. The
Mhm.
excitement when I made it through a birthday.
Speak on it, sis.
Yeah, I remember that excitement, and I will never forget that. I keep that up front because nature urges me to. And see, sometimes I can get kind of relaxed. Sometimes I can kind of get to that point where I'm almost carrying it like I've arrived. But I got to remember that. I don't never want to forget that because that right there, it was like a strong part of my foundation. So whenever I run into any snares and challenges that seem or appear to be extremely hard for me, I remember that. You made it through that. You made a conscious decision to do something. The prophet said, when I can get you to think, you can save yourself. So that was the excitement right there for me. And I'll never forget it. And I try to keep it up front for me. Peace.
Peace.
Well, I guess I'll share. I'm gonna share a more recent moment of that bud. And 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, maybe, when the thought came to put us together and to get us to share this conversation with what our teachings and our own journeys. And I have to say, it's been a journey and we have really developed a friendship. But that bud and excitement, I want to say like maybe a year ago, where I feel like we just got on and we were having this conversation and the bond of affection was there. And my sisters, and we say, you know, Islam sister to this person and that one. But you have to build that affection amongst one another. We have to be able to talk to one another and be there for one another. And a special highlight is when I went through the difficulties of my mother transitioning and just seeing how the sisters were. What do you need? Jumping in there and helping me. And so I thank you all for that. But that was a beautiful moment for me because that bud of excitement of like, you call me, and not that you don't expect people to call you, but you feel that love of excitement. And so
Yes.
that was a very beautiful recent bud. There's many buds that we have, but it's Allah.
Oh.
Praise Allah. Islam. So it's a very, very good question. I think for me, I can go so many different places, but I
Mm-hmm.
will say I love seeing the bud unfold when I see my children. Um, They are. I marvel at how they allow the lessons to impact their lives. Um, I'm proud. I'm really proud of them. So, 3 of my children today, they started at a new school, and for my older 2 children, my teenager and my preteen, my daughter, she had never been in a like a physical middle school. And we know that when, young people sometimes go to middle school, it like that's the kind of the beginning of, kind of got to be aware, more alert. And she made me so proud because she consistently demonstrates the lessons of the prophet. And she walked into this school, which is, I would honestly say, I would probably say it's about 85% European. She walked in that joint with her turban on, covered up, but she was still cute. And she was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. And then just by her demonstrating that, she said that some young men or some young fella, he asked her, "Oh, so you're a Muslim?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then he told his brother, like, she's a Muslim too. And then so they started like giving her the greeting, and it was like a very, very proud moment for her. Like, yes, I'm demonstrating this. Listen, I'm gonna rock out. So to see and hear those type of things is truly a blessing for me as her mother, because I want nothing but the best for my children, and giving them Islam was the best thing that I could do for them. So that's on that level. Now for myself, just the fact of knowing where I came from to where I am today, it's growth. It is growth. And the fact that I'm able to always speak so willingly about, what I came from. I use it as a teaching tool because I feel like you don't have to stay in your current condition, in your current situation. The prophet said, if you think your condition can be better, join the Moorish Temple of America. That was the thing that brought me to the temple. Like, yeah, it gotta be better. It gotta be. And so for me to have worked on myself consistently for these past almost 17 years to get to where I am today. See, a lot of times people think that, when you are in any organization, getting higher and higher in certain positions or points of leadership is what, shows your accomplishments. For me, that's not it. The fact that I am a person who is learning consistently, still learning to love instead of hate, a person that is consistently studying self, a person that is still on the righteous path, to me, that's success. And that's not to say this is where I'm going to plateau and stay here, but that's just to say I'm going to consistently keep working on me because that's what my prophet told me to do. And so I measure myself at, looking at the situation of where I once was to where I am today. I have so much love and peace and joy within me that it's amazing, because where I come from, a lot of people don't have that. They don't demonstrate it, at least. You know what I mean? So I'm, praise a lot for gratitude. Praise a lot for being able to be in these positions, and praise a lot for Allah giving me the mind to be able to open up to accept the teachings of the prophet by way of Allah.
Sister Reverend Ray, when you said, when we see each other, we say Islam, sister, but affection does come with the bond, right? And one of the many buds, for me is when I realized I really do have a deeper appreciation, or excuse me, wanted to have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Because I didn't come into the movement wanting a deeper appreciation for womanhood, right? I didn't really understand that, right? I've never been one of those sisters that, oh, I don't mess with women because they this. I've never been that. That never was my jam. I gravitate to people who make me feel good. That's the bottom line, right? But when I wanted to be a sister to all sisters, that was a good feeling for me. I'm gonna be real short, and that's that. Peace.
Praise Allah. So
Okay.
I have a question. Have you ever poured into something or someone and didn't get the results that you had hoped for?
Mm.
Islam. That's a beautiful question because as a parent, whoo, have I learned a lot about that. Having expectations of how I want my children to turn out, what I want them to be, how successful I want them to be, and all this and that. And boy, oh boy, did I get a rude awakening. But praise Allah for the prophet and these instructions. And I know I'm not the only parent to do it because it's like by nature that we do that. We hope that our children, turn out to be successful in whatever it is that they decide to do. But what I didn't know when my children were small and I was parenting, I didn't know anything about man had to pass through all the ways of life. I didn't know anything about that. I thought that I could save my kids from a lot of the things that I went through to keep them from going down that path or any other rocky, windy path. And so I can't even say that although I had the expectations or
Oh no, I think we lost her. Okay. Let's see if she come back. We hear you, Sister Brent Bay.
and is and was such a blessing to and for me, and no regrets. Can't turn the clock back. It is what it is right now. But I would have loved to have had these instructions then. Because knowing what I know now, it makes me more understanding to growth and development, even with my children. And it may have eliminated the expectations and allowed me to kind of ease up, knowing or focusing more on what to pour into them. Morals and principles I did, and I did the best that I could with that. So I have no regrets of what I did pour into my kids. And I'm not speaking as if my kids went south, but it just happens in life. And that's why I say I know we as parents, we tend to, want and expect certain things out of our children. And regardless, even if we poured all the right things, which is impossible, but I'm just using that as a metaphor. We poured all the right things. They still have to go through life. They still have to go through life's challenges. So what would be important would be for those that may be just now beginning to parent, would be trying to pour into them, teaching them how to deal with life's challenges as they go through, because they're going to have to go through, even letting them know that they have to pass through all the ways of life and that it's nothing to be afraid of. that's all a part of our growth and development. It's the experiences that grows us up. So yeah, I'm sorry if I talk too much, but I just remembered when I did with my kids, and it was kind of like a letdown when they didn't go the route that I wanted them to go. But I'm learning now, praise the Lord for the lessons again. I'm learning now to lighten up. And it's okay. Let them go on their course. Let them go down the path that they choose. And I'll be there to help kind of navigate and share some of the tools that they can use in the process as they travel their journeys. And that mama always gonna be right there with her arms out. Because I love my babies. So that's it. Peace.
Peace. Sis, that's such on time, because literally yesterday after Sunday school, I was talking to Sister B. Williams Zeal, and we were talking about something. She called me afterwards. And I have teenagers, and one is 16, one is 13. They go through their transitions, and they want independence, and you're trying to hover over them and give them whatever. And she has 6 children, and all of them are adults now, and they all grew up in the temple. And it was interesting. She said, one of the things that's really important in motherhood, which I've never had anyone really explain it to me this way, is understanding that everybody's on their journey. And as they're pulling away, they need to go on their journey.
Yes.
You can't control. You may have an idea that they're going to be this pristine child that's going to be in the temple forever and ever and ever. And they're going to have their journey and their karma and their walk, just like you will.
Yes.
And, you're going to pray, you can do all those things. And then she brought me, I'd look for the instruction and inconstancy, because the prophet said we all have inconstancy, including our children.
Yes.
It says, nature urgeth thee to inconstancy, O man. Right. Therefore, guard thyself at all times against it. Thou art from the womb of thy mother, various and wavering. From the loins of thy father inherited thy instability. How then shalt thou be firm? And she was saying that, you have to change up. Essentially her advice with me was, you have to think about how you support your children differently as they grow through the stages. And you have to trust Allah and teach them to trust Allah. And you got to trust Allah that they're going to find their path the way they need to be. Absolutely. And you are not Allah. You can't create the path for them. And she said, sometimes, you could be an illusion as a mother, because you want to control everything and the way everything goes. And you can do that when they're young. They can't go nowhere. But let them go ahead and hit 21, 22, 23, and they're going to do life, and you're going to do the best you can, and you give them the best you can. But you have to just remember that as long as you continue to show up and give them lessons, that let them go their path. And that was a really interesting, like literally yesterday we talked about that. So to that question of controlling, is right on time around children. I could say I'm gonna tease on my husband. Sometimes like, this is the way things need to happen. I got the plan. And you can't control the way things roll. We all on our path. I can't predict the way or the way we need to move or all the time, or it can't always be the way I see it. Everybody has their portion of understanding.
Yes.
So we have to respect it. And it's the gift of Allah that he appoints everyone their treasure. So we have to make sure that we give that to them. And so, I say for sure, I think motherhood, particularly now that I'm in this age, is interesting. How you got to figure out how to allow them to be and let them bloom, let their bud blow.
That's right. There it is. Mm-hmm. We can't rob them of their life sums.
That's right. I got to teach them how to cultivate their soil.
There it is.
Because I can't do it at a certain point. They got to learn how to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Peace, sis.
Sister Hawkins Bay, can you repeat the question?
Islam, yes. Have you ever poured into something or someone and didn't get the results that you had hoped for?
Absolutely.
That's all.
But someone probably poured something into me and didn't get the results they wanted.
There you go.
That's right.
Peace.
You're right.
Praise the Lord. It's funny that Greer Hill said that, but that is so true. That is, so, I mean, that that truth. One of our divine principles, that truth. But it's a reality. I think that for me, I had to realize, what am I pouring, what am I pouring into? Um, does it have saving power? Is it for my benefit or is it for someone else's benefit? Um, what's the reason behind it? Everything has to have a reason, and everything has to have a cause. And so I'm definitely in agreement with the sisters. I have definitely poured into my children, but at times you got to let them find their own way because
Yeah.
Allah knows best. Um, and it's deep because at times, for me, my children are still young. Yes, I have a teenager, but the rest of them are, preteens. But I'm gonna be honest, that teenage and preteen thing is something else. Um, but just the fact of trying to, how it's like a thing of you're trying to show them the way. You're trying to be the example, but sometimes, and it could be like little stuff. They just don't want to. They think they may know better, but praise Allah, you know, for growth and unfoldment. And then pouring into relationships with people that really was unnecessary. You know what I mean? I think whether it be friendships, whether it be relationships in the past, what was the point of that? Excuse me one second. I'm sorry. So, just trying to figure out what was best for me. And at the end of the day, you can only give what you're able to give to others. But you got to be consistent with giving to yourself. To me, like I had to learn that, and I'm still learning that. And I know we have talked about that often on this show, how we have to do for us because we have to make sure that we are in a good mental space or a good spiritual space in order to be the best we can be for anyone else whom we may come across.
Yeah.
So I think that, like it was said, we've all experienced that, but just knowing what to give your attention to is definitely a key part of your growth and unfoldment. Peace.
Mhm. Yes. I think we got time for one more question. Who has a question?
I got one.
Go for it.
How do we rid of the weeds, the unwanted things that creeps into the soil, choking out the life of our buds' development in ourselves and our children?
Hmm. Read that again, sis, one more time.
Okay. How do we get rid of the weeds, the unwanted things that creeps into the soil, choking out the life of our buds' development in ourselves and in our children?
Hmm. Well, I'm on the children thought right now because she was just talking about it, and it made me think about Prophet says, watch the benefits and inclinations and set him right in his youth and let no evil habit gain strength with his years. I had this epiphany moment where I was reading a chapter one time, and as we were reading the chapter, we so much look at our youth, particularly if you're a parent, and then you realize you're a child of Allah. Wait a minute, what's some inclinations you got? This can go to adults too. So when you say about getting rid of it, when I think of a child, I think of, um, it's important to pay attention to some of the habits. Sometimes it starts off small. Even your sister said it was small, but like my son and I will get into it because he's doing the sports. He don't want to eat before, and then he's complaining he's tired. I'm like, well, you need to eat, but no, he don't want to eat. He's hungry, right? But I'm like, I'm seeing you. You can see it as the parents, like you got to fuel yourself. But he's so focused on, well, I'm not hungry. I'm like, how you not gonna be hungry? And then you over there, you know, breathing all hard during your games. And I had to push back a little bit, and I didn't say anything, and I just I just made something and left it there to see if he'll eat it before we go to his game. But I can see that he's not thinking about what he needs to take care of himself before he's supposed to show up. And then he gets upset because he doesn't feel like he's his best. Well, it's because you didn't drink the water, you're not doing all the things you need to do before you show up for your game. And so I think it's the same for us. Sometimes you have to see, it goes back to why we don't see the bud. If I'm not seeing the bud, maybe there's some weeds on top of it. Maybe I'm not doing my meditation every day to get in the right moment. That's why I'm so frazzled every morning. You got to sometimes wonder, okay, what is it that's holding me back? What is clouding the way? And hurry up and do it before you have a ton of weeds so that your bud can't grow. But in order to do it, you got to see, okay, what's happening? You got to be able to take a step back and look and do some self-examination. And that's usually the hardest part, is really pausing and say, okay, well, really what's happening here? And then take an honest opinion and say, okay, well, I'm not doing what I need to do. That's why it's happening. That's why this habit is here. So that's the thought that came to me when you gave that answer. Questions, sis?
Praise the Lord. I just wanted to quickly say my piece before I'm interrupted again. And I know y'all see me keep cutting the stuff. See, that her question was perfect for this particular time, because I had to say, lower self, leave me alone. I know y'all probably saw my mouth say, get out, because I'm trying to focus and they just keep coming in here. But praise the Lord. When you want to try to get away from what is not beneficial, you just have to say, you got to make it up in your mind. For me, and I'm only always speaking from my experience, lower self, leave me alone. And my heart is fixed. You understand what I'm saying? And it's deep, because I think at times we may say that, not realizing the power that we have within ourselves. We can will things with the assistance of Allah away from us. You got to be able to say, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not going to accept that, and be cool with it. Because at times I recall certain situations, I would be like, no, I'm not going to deal with a specific person, or I'm not going to, even me, I'm not going to do a specific thing. And then that lower self urge, that, lower self carnal nature will spring up and be like, oh, yes, you are going to do it today. But with prayer and patience, and sometimes having others around you, or sometimes Allah will throw certain things in your way to kind of remove you from certain things. It's almost like, putting things basically in your path to stop you from doing certain things. And that's just simply the blessings of Allah. So for me, just to be like, listen, I got to focus on doing this way, and just hoping and praying that the Allah within me is stronger at this particular time than my lower self. Because at times, we got to be honest, sometimes we wrestle with that lower self. We go back and forth. We go in and out. And it's like, should I not? And, we gotta let that Allah within come up. Praise Allah.
Yeah, I think about, go ahead, sis.
I have to do my best and try not to allow weeds to grow around the things that I am trying to accomplish. Just like the sister said, you know what is necessary. You know what you have in front of you. If I have a set goal, I got to stick to it. This I can't do. I guess basically I have to look at the results. What will be the results of me doing this thing? Are they going to be beneficial, or are they not? Do they have saving power, or does it not? Is it going to cause harm to someone, or is it not? I have to think about all those things, And if it's favorable for all that is involved, then yes. If no, then no. So, like I said, the best thing to do is just try not to allow those things that could cause havoc in your life to even get in there. Some things we cannot avoid. Sometimes things just take place, but the things we can, that we do have control over, yeah. Peace.
So again, I'm going back to my gardening skills. So I know for me, I have weeds. I have those useless, ungainly parts, and I have to deal with them as they peek their heads. And the Quran teaches me to use my axe. It teaches me to use my tools. So this is why I have to consistently study, to gain strength, to do those things, to pick up the axe. Because sometimes I don't always pick it up. I have to deal with the weeds as they come because I know they're there. I am truth and falsehood strangely mixed. That falsehood is the weeds. They're there. I can't prevent them. I can just try and get them up out of there. I think in terms of when I see them in my flower bed, they got weed killer. My weed killer in my own life is truth. This word. It kills that falsehood. So when it comes to my children, I have to teach my children the same thing. Their truth and falsehood strangely mixed. They're going to encounter friends that are also truth and falsehood strangely mixed. That means they have weeds in their lives as well. So I have to teach my children what to look out for, what these weeds look like. Their heads, they're different. They peak at any given moment. So I can only share with you, how I'm being taught how to deal with those weeds when they peak, or to deal with your own weeds. Because I have to also be honest and let my kids know you got them. You ain't full of roses. You got weeds, boo. And they're deeply rooted, some of them. So you might cut it away today with the truth, and it might peek back up again later on, because we don't know how deeply rooted they are. So that's why the consistency of us practicing good and what is right is so important. That's why the consistency of our attention to the soil is so important. So that just takes me back to, if I just continue that and keep love and hope in back of toil, my blossoms are going to be good. Take the clock away, Tracy. Stop expecting it to bloom when you want it to bloom. Understand, Allah has a season for everything. I close with that piece.
You sure did. You closed. I looked at time. We ain't got no time. She just closed the show right there. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's show. Few announcements.
Excellent conversation.
Yeah, and a beautiful conversation, and for dropping it some of the comments in the chat. What were you thinking? It's beautiful to see your thoughts when you share them with us. Beautiful shout out to Sister H. Torrance Bay, Moorish National Home number 2. Happy birthday! Your birthday is today.
Happy birthday!
We're so happy. A special shout out. My husband's birthday is tomorrow. I want to say happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday!
We'll give a special love to Brother Jay Florencio, who is in his journey to healing. We're going to send you much love. We love you. Of course, you're going to want to hear more of what's happening. This Wednesday, we're going to have Sakara Sacred Healing. It's going to have their show. And then Friday, we have our Holy Day meeting, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday, there's our Sunday school at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then next Wednesday, Brother Esanio Bay's show, Rumor Control, will be showing as well. And of course, that following Monday in 2 weeks, we'll be back. Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. With that, we want to say thank you for joining us, and peace.
Peace.
Peace.